morning class. Welcome back. Hope you are fine. We are studying about the Union Executive. In the previous classes, we studied about the President and the Vice President. Now, we are going to study about the Council of Ministers. We know ours is a republic, and here the president is the real head, but the president cannot take all the administrative decisions. The president is controlled by a group of ministers, which is called a Council of Ministers. Though the constitution has given the president enormous power, it is not possible for him to execute any of those power at his will. Instead, he needs to get the permission from the Council of Ministers. In such a situation, we can say that the Council of Ministers is the real head or the real power center of the country. After the Lok Sabha election, the new government will be formed. The leader of the majority party will be elected by the members, and he is appointed as the Prime Minister. The President appoints the leader of the majority party as the Prime Minister. And then the Prime Minister selects a group of ministers to form the government. There are three types of ministers: cabinet ministers, ministers for the state, and deputy ministers. These three groups of ministers together form the Council of Ministers. In many cases, the President needs to get permission from the Council of Ministers to exercise his enormous power vested upon him by the Constitution. Article 75 of the Constitution says that the Council of Ministers will be appointed by the President, and these ministers are appointed by the advice of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister selects some people as the members of the Council of Ministers, and on his advice the President appoints them as the ministers. Before 1979, the Constitution did not refer the term cabinet. It referred only the term Council of Ministers. It referred only the term Council of Ministers. But the 44th Amendment of the Constitution clearly stated that the President cannot issue an ordinance of national emergency or a proclamation of national emergency unless the cabinet asks him to do so, or unless the cabinet demands him in writing. After this amendment, the distinction between the cabinet and the Council of Ministers became evident. Any person can become a minister, but generally the members of the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha are elected as the members of the Council of Ministers. If a non-member of the Parliament is made as a minister within 6 months, that member has to become a member of either of the house. Either that minister should become a member of Lok Sabha or he has to become a member of Rajya Sabha. Unless he is made as a member of either of the house, he may not be continue as a minister. There are three types of ministers. Already we have seen cabinet ministers, ministers for the state, and deputy ministers. Cabinet ministers is the most important among the members of the Council of Ministers. They are the senior most leaders. They hold the most important portfolios. Home Minister, Finance Minister, Defense Minister, External Affairs Minister. These all are examples of cabinet ministers. Generally, the important decisions of the government is taken by the cabinet ministers, and these ministers assist the prime minister in the day-to-day affairs of the government. Other group of members also can attend the cabinet meeting, but they have to specially invited. Otherwise, the deputy ministers or the ministers for the state cannot attend the cabinet meeting. The second category of ministers is called ministers of the state. They may be or may not be hold the independent charge of any ministry or department. The third group is deputy ministers. They are junior ministers who are appointed to assist the cabinet ministers as well as the ministers of state. They do not take part in the deliberations or meetings of the cabinet. The constitution does not specify the number of members of the Council of Ministers. It is entirely depend upon the Prime Minister to decide the number of members he can choose to the Council of Ministers. However, the 91st Amendment Act of 2003 put a ceiling on the maximum number of the members of Council of Ministers. The Amendment Act states that the total number of members of the Council of Ministers should not be more than 15% of the total membership of the House. In case of smaller states, the Council of Ministers can have maximum 12 ministers. This ceiling is decided with a view to control the expenditure incurring on functioning the government, in running the government. The ministers hold office during the pleasure of the president, but he has very little power in this regard, because the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers are directly responsible to the Lok Sabha, and they can be in power as far as the House have confidence in them. If a vote of no confidence is passed against a minister, the concerned minister has to resign. Or if a vote of no confidence is passed against the Prime Minister, the entire government has to resign. The Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. If a vote of no confidence is passed by the Lok Sabha, they may have to resign. Then the salary and other allowances of the ministers are decided by the Parliament, and it may revise time to time. The cabinet possesses administrative powers, legislative powers, financial powers, and emergency powers. all the important decisions with regard to the administration of the government is taken by the cabinet and they conveyed it to the president. And on the basis of the decisions taken by the council of ministers or on the basis of the suggestions given by the council of ministers, the president takes the final decision. So far we have studied about prime minister and the council of ministers. We learned the three different types of ministers. We briefly discussed their various powers. Hope these points are clear to you. If you have any doubt on any topic, as I used to say, you are free to contact me through the school app. It is enough for today. Take care. Bye.